Want to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order. And the first thing is roll call.
Powell? Sack? Here. Long is running a little late. Cobb? Here. Fleming?
Here.
Crawford?
Here.
Woodward?
Here.
Bowman?
Here.
Middleton?
Here. We have a quorum. Next is pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, I need a motion to approve the minutes of August 17, 2017. Fleming and Crawford. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Next is a presentation of the agenda, and I'm going to alter the agenda and move item number 16 and 17 to take it up first under regular agenda. They're walk-ons. I think everybody's got a copy of 16 and 17, don't they? Yep. Okay, so we'll take those up when we get to the regular agenda. Other than that, I have no changes to the agenda, and I accept a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Crawford and Cobb. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we will go to public comment. Is there anyone that in the audience from the public that would like to address our committee this morning? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment, and we will go to the contingency report. Need a motion to accept the contingency report. Fleming and Kowal. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. On page 1, which is page 3 of your PDF, you have a general contingency balance of $130,922. There are no items on today's agenda that impact that amount. On page 3, which is page 5 of your PDF, under classification and rate change, there's one item, number 6, for the HR department. It's a union agreement, and it impacts fiscal year 18 only for $9,978. Then on page 6, which is page 8 of your PDF, under miscellaneous capital outlay, there's one item for District Court in Novi to replace 51 chairs for $22,413, which leaves a balance of $80,681. And then finally on page 12, which is page 14 of your PDF, using assigned fund balance, item number 5 on your agenda, under catastrophic claims, there's $1.5 million.
Okay. Any questions on the contingency report? If not, motion to accept, receive, and file has been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we'll go to communications. We're going to take up communications A, B, and C. Need a motion to receive and file those communications. Kowal and Fleming. Cobb.
Yes.
I have a question on the brownfield thing from economic development, please.
Dan, you want to take it?
Let me just move this closer. I have a concern because I called about this, and I understand why Mr. Bile was hired. He is probably the best in the field we have in Michigan. But I have a concern because I think that a procedure was skipped somewhere down the line. I don't know what the procedure is, and maybe Lori can help me.
Actually,
Keith could help me.
Keith is there.
Okay.
Where's that on communication?
It's the second one on communications, economic development and affairs, yeah.
Page 26.
What?
No.
It's the one.
Economic development. Okay, it's
Why
on
can't-
page 26, which is fine.
26 of the PDF file.
Yeah. My concern is that I think in and I'm not gonna criticize the executive at all, but I believe that we should be having somebody coordinate all the legal consultations in the county. The man is Keith Limmerno, as I understand it, and that's his job, along with Joe Ellen. And my concern is that nobody went to Keith and said, we have a problem. You just hired an
Actually,
attorney.
this is just a purchasing policy exception. Keith has been involved all along, and Keith had called me on this, and he said, can we sole source? And I said, you can sole source, we'll just have to report it to the board as a contract exception, and so this is following your procedure and your policy.
I understand that, but I believe that Corporation Counsel, that this particular attorney was hired before Corporation Counsel was made aware of it, okay? And I don't think that's what you want to do. I think that to keep this county whole and to make sure that we don't have problems or lawsuits or whatever, I think that before you hire an attorney, I don't know any department head who wouldn't, except for one, obviously, who wouldn't go to Mr. Limmerno or Joe Ellen or somebody in the department and say, I have a problem, I need to hire an attorney, a specialist. And before you hire that attorney, certainly you need to go to Mr. Limmerno and say, do we have anybody on our staff that is capable of doing this, or should we then go out and hire somebody else? So that's what I'm concerned about, Lori, not that this man was hired, but that before Keith heard about it, it was done. It was a done deal. Now, I will tell you, the man that was hired is super duper. He's terrific. He wrote the current brownfield revision. There's no question about his ability, but I think that has to be done. And I don't know why it wasn't done, why Keith wasn't consulted or told about it, and why the bills weren't sent to Keith either, because I think that's something very, very important. Or Mr. Limmerno, I should say. I'm sorry, I don't mean. But I think that's important as well. I think legal bills need to go through Corp Counsel to make sure that everything's right and that someone's not charging $40 million an hour when the going rate is whatever it is. So that's why.
I'm supposed to, and I assume this was the one that Keith had talked to me about, but maybe it's not.
Keith does sit, and he's invaluable on our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. I'm not sure about the timing of this particular attorney who was, in my opinion, essential to making the Village of Bloomfield take place.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with what the job he did, or his qualifications, or the fact that you had to have him for the deal. That's not even in question. The question is the procedure, and that before I would hire anybody to represent me, or not me, or represent this board, or anyone would hire anybody, we'd first go to Keith and find out if there is somebody there on staff, or if Keith would be part of it. I don't think you eliminate Corporation Counsel. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Keith, you got a comment before Woodward?
Yeah, John Bile was hired initially to modify the brownfield plan for this project so that the project could be marketed. That was done actually a couple of years ago. I was made aware, ultimately of his involvement, and I didn't have any issues with it. And then when the Bloomfield Village project kind of came to fruition, we've been working on it for about a year now. Now it's finally been approved. Purchasing did send me one or more of the invoices meanwhile, and I did submit some comments on them. I didn't recall that, Shelley, when we spoke yesterday, but Purchasing did send me the invoices, and as Dan indicated, John Bile's involvement was really pretty much invaluable, and I don't think without his help we probably would not have the project moving forward today. But I certainly understand Shelley's concerns.
Yeah, my concern is the initial step. Go to him first, and then all of us agree on the person who was chosen was fabulous. You had to do a sole source contract on it. But I think Keith has to be the ultimate person. Otherwise, we're going to have people in this county hiring an attorney anytime they want to hire him and forget about Keith and Corp Counsel. That's not right. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay, any other comments on communications? If not, All those in favor of receive and file signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Now we are on the regular agenda, and on the regular agenda, we're going to take up items number 16 and 17. They have to do with a corridor improvement. The first one was a corridor improvement amendment to the agreement with Independence Township. And I need a motion for number 16, Board of Commissioners amend to the agreement with the Charter Township of Independence Corridor Improvement Authority. Need a motion. Fleming and Colwell. Okay, it's before us.
Oh, wait a second.
Good morning. This is the amendment to the agreement that was done back in 2008. Joe Ellen Shortley has done great work on the contract. I'm joined here also by Pat Kittle, the Township Supervisor of Independence, and Steve Yopik, their attorney. This is not changing the dollar amount that was agreed to back in 2008. The same dollar amount of county capture. It is extending the term 9 years, largely due to the decrease in the value of property 2009, 2010. So the projects are public infrastructure, streetscape, road, and that's what's before you.
Basically to promote economic development.
Yes.
That's the idea of corridor improvements.
I have to read this one
Okay.
fast.
Pat Kittle, did you want to add anything, Township Supervisor? You've run it through your...
No, we've run it past our board. We had approved the plan as presented. My understanding now, we're just looking at the formal contractual agreement. We are ready to approve it on Tuesday with concurrence from the Finance Committee. And just wanted to thank everybody from the county, including Mr. Hunter, especially Mr. Hunter, for all of their help. This is going to be huge for the community. This is the final phase of our CAA plan. We're not asking for a penny more, but because of the economic downturn, we just weren't able to capture the TIP revenue that we needed for the final phase. So right now, that's planned for 2018. It's going to be about a $5.5 to $6 million project. This is an integral part of that funding mechanism that's going to make that last phase reality.
Okay, thank you. We did take two parcels off. One is the township bought a parcel within the corridor improvement, and so that takes that off the tax roll. And then there's another building that was added on with a lot of personal property, and it's closed up now, so that personal property is gone. So we altered the plan to take those two pieces of property off and then extend the time. That's the only things that we've done. So it's money-wise, according to the county, we haven't changed it a bit. So. Any questions? If not, call the roll.
Colwell? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Tug?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next is item number 17. Board of Commissioners updated policy for participation in downtown development authorities, local development authorities, corridor improvement authorities, and limitation on county revenue subject to capture by all authorities. And Zach is moving it, and Long is supporting it. So, go ahead, Joanne.
These are two changes in response to the proposal that Birmingham had made. This now makes it clear that a community cannot capture the county's money for several years waiting for a developer to arrive. And then it also clarifies that there needs to be a physical asset constructed. That doesn't have to be the sole thing that is constructed, but in the list of projects, there needs to be a building, a road, some type of physical asset.
With this amendment, just really clarifies the purpose of the law, the corridor improvement. It says for economic development, and if you don't list something out there in the future, you really can't get into a corridor improvement thing. So this just clarifies that you set a project, you have items listed, and then you can make your decision on economic development from that. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Joellen. I appreciate this. I appreciate the time that Joellen spent with Birmingham, along with the extraordinary time that Michael Gingell spent with Birmingham, straightening out some misunderstandings that were developed. Very great misunderstandings, and that's why we have to do this. Unfortunately, Birmingham was promised far more than what this county will or ever will provide, and it wasn't Birmingham's fault or Joellen's or mine. We all attended meetings, and thankfully Mike Gingell got this kind of squared away, and I spoke with the people in Birmingham, with the city manager, and he's very appreciative of everything that was done. So I want to thank you, Joellen, for all the time you put into this. Thank you.
Commissioner Woodward.
Yeah, I don't object to this. I mean, agree with what we're trying to do. I mean, my understanding that here was a situation in which a community wanted to capture money for a project yet to fully be defined in the future, which, again, fault community saying I'd like that. I mean, I guess I'd like someone to put money into my retirement, so for the future. I mean, from a process point of view, so I know we established a policy, and it seems, I mean, like, we've come and revisited and tweaked a few times. I mean, the system worked in the sense that we didn't grant the authority. So I was like, I don't know if we need necessarily do this. We didn't grant that. No, it didn't feel right. There wasn't support for it. So I guess I question, is this necessary, because we didn't grant it. And I guess in terms of informing the public, we're not going to let you piggy bank our money without a defined project. We probably could have put that, I mean, just like in a memo. I guess, I mean, in terms of if we're going to use a policy document to guide decision making, if every time there's like something that we don't necessarily like, we're going to tweak the policy to address it, then I don't know why we have the policy in the first place, because it's always evolving. So I'm just like bringing that up in the context. Like, the system worked. I guess that's what I wanted. I mean, we're adjusting policy to inform how we make decisions. The system worked, and we didn't grant it, and we wouldn't grant it. And I guess my only other question is, are there any other TIFs or CIAs or other types of things that we've approved that would be in violation of this now?
No.
So, okay, so this is
No,
a redundancy in practice.
Yeah. In response, Joe.
So Birmingham actually felt that they were not violating the policy prior to that wording being in there, and I believe Mike Gingell told them he was going to change the policy, and that was part of his discussions with them, so that they could no longer say, hey, we should still be able to do that. And so it was part of their discussion and agreement that we would change the policy.
Okay. Commissioner Topp.
Yes.
Sadly to say, and I don't disagree with you, Dave, but sadly to say, Birmingham was promised things that we've never done before, okay? So when you're promised something and it's, we've never done it before, and you listen to the...
Yeah, well, it's,
Okay.
let's speak in code.
Okay.
Like, our chairman did not promise that.
No.
I know. I just like, we
Other-
talked about what the chairman made.
No.
So it's not the
Okay.
chairman, I'm sorry.
Let's, Commissioner Topp has the floor.
Somebody promised, some people promised Birmingham to do exactly what we're talking about. And so consequently, they were promised the moon and the sun and the star and all this money to have whenever they wanted it and to sit in their bank, and we don't do it that way. And so fortunately, the chairman and Joellen straightened everything out, and now we're going to put it in writing just so that it's understood, so that we don't have this problem again, okay?
And I see it as helping out the communities. It takes a lot of time and effort, and lawyers and everybody gets involved in it. And then to present something that's going to get turned down, this way they read it, they see that they don't go that avenue, and it'll save them money also. So, and we opt out, and it's our choice to opt back in. So we're holding the reins on this one. This is explaining exactly how we're going to make decisions on that. Any other discussion? Oh, Eileen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some of you may know that I worked on TIF reforms when I was in the legislature. I didn't quite get anywhere with it, and try, going against all these township officials and local officials and whatnot, just trying to clean things up a bit. But I think that what Joellen and what we have done here is fantastic. And if you haven't already, I think that we need to share this with our state legislature, because this should be a statewide policy as well. So, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, call the roll on item number 17.
Sack,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Tubb,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Colwell. Yes. Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Next is, we're on the regular agenda, item number 1, miscellaneous Sheriff's Office Medication Assistance Treatment, MAT, Program Interlock Agreement with Oakland Community Health Network, and the reimbursement for inmate casework specialist position working on MAT programs and Jail Alliance with support JAWS program. And it went through Human Resources. Aline is going to move it, and Fleming is going to support it.
I just want to introduce Matt Costello, who's the Supervisor of Inmate Services, and Executive Lieutenant Melissa McClung, who will handle this item instead of Dale and I.
He didn't want me to. He didn't want me to screw up your names. That's why he said it. Go ahead.
Major Snarry was here yesterday, and Commissioner Hoffer called him Major Snarl.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have a motion.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're ready for presentation.
Well, the MAT and JAWS protocols are two separate programs that are a partnership between the Oakland County Community Health Network and the Sheriff's Office. The MAT protocol is the new program or addition to this, which is medication-assisted treatment for the opioid-involved inmates that come into the jail. We're looking to coordinate with OCHN and their contract agency, Sacred Heart, to bring in a doctor and an addictionologist to come in, evaluate, and determine whether or not a person qualifies for treatment in a MAT protocol while in the jail. This is a pilot program. The Sheriff's Office is one of about 1% of the county jails that are participating in these kinds of programs. It's in an effort to achieve two items. One is to provide treatment for them in jail, so when they go back out into the community and if they happen to relapse, we're seeing high incidences of deaths of people leaving the jail because they go right back to their former levels of use and their tolerance can't take it. The MAT protocol, again, hopes to stop that and stem that right away by continuing to provide medication treatment while incarcerated. The other is people, in the evidence that is available to us, the likelihood that they reoffend, participants in MAT who are less likely to reoffend when they reenter into the community because they've been in through a structured treatment program. MAT is not simply just a medication program. However, though, we're also importing services from Sacred Heart for group services, individual services, and peer support specialists. So it's a pilot program, and we're very excited about this opportunity.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when they're in the care of the jail and we get these services, does this care continue beyond the jail?
Yeah.
I guess that's the critical piece, because they could be with us for a short period or even extended period. It's when they leave, I worry.
Right, and that's what with the strength of the MAT protocol is it creates that warm handoff back into the community provider network. So they will be connected with either Sacred Heart or Biomed, which are the two licensed facilities through OCHN, to participate in the MAT protocol. So yes, there'll be a warm handoff into the community for continued services.
And I guess who pays for after they're out of the jail?
That's all part of OCHN and their provider network.
Commissioner Zach?
I want to just add to that. There is a problem when people go into the jail, they lose their Medicaid benefits, and then they have to be restored when they come out. So there's a gap in time for that person to get their Medicaid benefits, and that was part of the testimony for the state CARES task force, is that we can have some type of policy and legislation so that we don't have that gap in coverage when people come out. But in the meantime, OCHN is trying to cover that gap. I think it's going to be challenging.
Commissioner Todd.
I think this is part of the substance use portion of, is it not, or is this just the mental health portion? Remember.
OCHN applied for a specialized grant and was awarded a grant to fund this particular program.
Okay, is it part of the substance use?
Yes, Christina
Okay.
Nicholas is.
Okay, so I think it's important to mention that, because we have two parts of, what it used to be community mental health,
Right.
whatever it's called now. One is obviously mental illness, and the other is substance use, and obviously there's co-occurring problems in the jail without question. But I think it's important when we do resolutions to further define which group is, because what is it called? OCHN, I'm sorry, is an umbrella for those two things.
Well, and the position we're talking about today covers both that umbrella. JAWS is specifically for mentally ill offenders, and the
Okay.
MAT program comes right up under the substance use disorder
Okay.
umbrella.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions? If not, call the roll. Oh, Bowman has a question.
It's more, again, a comment, and this was a comment that I made yesterday during Human Resources. I have a little qualm with the MAP Program Advisory Team. Ultimately, it's two representatives, either the sheriff and/or representative from the Oakland County Health Network. And seeing that this is a pilot program, those would be the two entities ultimately to determine the success. Well, I feel it prudent to have an additional member within that advisory team.
The partnership for the MAP program is with the Sheriff's Office, and it's also with Oakland County Community Mental Health. Oakland County Health Network and their designees can designate to the advisory board, just as well as the Sheriff's Office, was in partnership with them, can also appoint their designees. I am very confident that the appointment of the Sheriff's Office, his designees, will also be someone who, one, has the best interest of the Sheriff's Office and the inmates in the jail, and also the best interest of the county. One of the main things that I'm confident he would do is appoint someone to those boards who have an intimate knowledge of the program, who can then oversee the program. Because it is a pilot program, being inside the jail, we also have a responsibility to the inmates to also uphold our corrections mission policy to provide programs which include the mental health, which includes your medical, which also includes your substance abuse programs. So they can appoint people to the advisory boards. Those are just the two people that are in partnership.
Commissioner Bowman, you want to bring your mic closer to you when you talk? Okay.
Yeah, I understand the notation that the designees would be individuals that have the best interests of all those in mind. Again, just seeing that it would be weighted within two organizations, I think there's additional interplay as it relates to the success of the programming, notably with the service organizations that the individuals that would particularly be referred to once maybe not within the custody of the sheriff's department. So I think that's something for consideration, just in terms of for the longevity of the program and initiative overall. So.
I think that's an excellent idea. And again, we're just trying to get this pilot off to see whether or not it can function as we look to expand or create this to be more of a full-time program. I think that's an excellent idea that we could add additional members that represent particularly the treatment community to have a strong voice in this operation.
So last statement, the duration this is appropriating for a year
It's a
pilot?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. I have Commissioner Zach and then Commissioner Top. Go ahead, Helene.
Okay, in response to Commissioner Bowman, I have 15 years of working closely on the issue of mental health with the community providers, the sheriffs, and so forth. And one of the beautiful things that I can attest in Oakland County is there is a true collaboration among the providers, the core providers, other providers, the sheriff's department, and other places. And this is one of the reasons why we have JAWS and why we're expanding this into a full-time position, is because of the cooperative nature of the providers in the community, the sheriffs, when it comes to this issue of managing behavioral health. It's a big problem, it's a growing problem, we have to be creative. So, but I do agree that opening the door to maybe a little bit bigger advisory committee might be valuable to all of us.
Okay, Commissioner Taub and then Woodward.
Yes, the Oakland, the Substance Use Advisory Committee consists of 2 commissioners, I happen to chair it, and people who have been substance use, who've used substances, as well as people who provide services for people. So it's an all-encompassing board. I don't know whether it's statutory or not. It started actually in Oakland County when substance use was part of the health department. Now, you know, the state legislature messed it up and moved into mental health, but that's to be expected. So it does encompass all those people. Whether it could be expanded, well, it is true. Whether it could be expanded or not, I mean, we are always looking for new people to serve on that board. It's not easy. It's not a big commitment. It's a 4 times a year commitment, and some other. We're going to have something down in Catalpa Park in September. But again, that does exist, and it is an ongoing. And Christina Nicholas, if you want to know somebody who is amazing, we're all smiling. That's the person. And she'd be I'm sure, more than happy to help anybody with.
Okay, Commissioner Woodward.
Next time Commissioner Woodward gets off topic, I'm going to go. Good enough with that?
Yes. Okay.
No, I mean about that. I think Commissioner Bowman brings up an issue, and I think getting pilot programs off to be innovative to respond, particularly to this epidemic and the opiate epidemic and trying to tackle it at all fronts makes a lot of sense. I do agree with Commissioner Bowman's comment. There is another partner in all of this, and the fact that we're here before this board, this commission is, taking this problem very seriously and in a variety of ways, trying to move resources and bring attention to things. And so I would like to request, and I don't have to do it now, I'm going to volunteer Commissioner Bowman to be to the extent that he can be brought in, since he brought up the issue. Because I think that the intersection of that, if it would be amendable to you folks to engage in the process, because I think he brings not only location, but definitely, a community that's also, the healthcare background and everything. I think it brings a wealth of information to have part of this I guess, third, arguably more silent partner in all of this, but I think that this board would love, based on what's being talked about, I think a continued and long-term investment to make this successful is something that I know I could get behind very easily, proven that it works.
We will bring those recommendations to the sheriff for designees, more than one, plural. So we will bring those recommendations to the sheriff.
Okay. Any other questions?
I could also amend the resolution. Thank you.
Any more questions on item number 1? If not, call the roll on regular agenda item number 1.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Kowal?
Yes.
Zat?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Next, I want to, Commissioner Woodward forgot to use public comment.
I did. I was going to do it in our intermission,
Okay.
but if I may, right
Yes.
now.
Right straight back.
Oh, there he went. Where did he go? So today I get to be shadowed by my nephew, Ian Sandler Bowen, who's a high school student at Berkeley High in Commissioner Zach's district, and who's very interested in public policy and government. And I've been meaning to get him up here for a while before he goes back to school, and so I'm just very excited to have him here. I told him I would be extra good. It's 10th grade now, right?
Never.
I know, exactly. I said there might be a show later. Show at 11. But Ian's, is a great guy, super smart, and will probably be at this table one day. So.
Okay, good. Well, welcome. Yeah, Commissioner Zach, Taub.
Yeah, and I hope he looks after my grandson, who's gonna be a ninth grader
There we go.
at Berkeley High.
Yep, so, okay, now we're gonna go to item number 2, multi-district sheriff's office, community corrections, circuit court, the 2017 Edward Burns Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, a JAG program, subscription agreement to grant applications. I need a motion. Okay, Taub and Fleming.
I'm going to turn the show over to Katie West, so again, you won't have to
Okay, go ahead, Katie.
Good morning, Commissioners. Local allocations for JAG are determined based on the 3-year violent crime averages reported in the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program. JAG awards can be used for law enforcement, prosecution in courts, prevention and education, corrections and community corrections, drug treatment, planning, evaluation, and technology improvement, crime victim and witness programs. Last year's grant award was $80,862. That only included Oakland County. The City of Pontiac received direct funding last year. The total allocation this year is $149,658, which includes Oakland County and the City of Pontiac. Oakland County's portion of the allocation is $52,994, which is a decrease of $27,868 from last year. The City of Pontiac's portion of the allocation is $96,664. The City of Pontiac is classified as a disparate jurisdiction. This means that Pontiac's allocation is over 150% of the county's allocation, and as a result, Oakland County will act as the fiduciary for this year's grant and enter into a subrecipient agreement with the city. Pontiac will use their funding for overtime hours worked under the Contract for Law Enforcement Services. The county will use the funding for the Sheriff's Office purchase of tasers, $18,700, Community Corrections contract with Oakland Community Health Network for a portion of an access liaison position, $26,394, and Circuit Court's purchase of a microfiche microfilm reader for $7,900.
Any questions? If not, call the roll on item number, whoops. Okay, Commissioner Bowman. Thank you.
Based on this total allocation, I've got a curiosity on the administrative costs. Is there fees or?
No, they don't charge
So it all
administrative,
goes
yes, to the program.
And can you give me just a bit of background on the whole Oakland position that's being allocated?
Barb Hankey is here, she can probably comment on that.
Community Corrections. So the position is actually a position under Oakland County Health Network, and so we've entered into a contract to have that position embedded within the community corrections offices to serve the offenders that are in the community that may be in need of mental health and substance abuse services.
Is this any way attached to the, was it MAC?
The previous?
The previous.
No, this is two separate, totally different positions. The MAP program will be operating within the jail, and this is a position that will be operating in the community.
So ultimately, we'd have in tandem two roles, or they're separate entities, but there's ultimately, we get two positions. Position through this grant, but through the MAP program, there will be a facilitator that does, I believe, intake or assessments for the offenders and those within the jail. And so that is being funded specifically through the partnership. I'm just trying to make sure that these are equal and opposite positions.
It's very similar. They'll be doing similar types of work as far as screening offenders, but the MAP program is a totally different protocol. Obviously, it's for the medication-assisted treatment. The position for community corrections will include substance abuse as well as mental health services, screening them to determine the level of intensity, what services are needed, and if they qualify under OCHN funding. They'll help coordinate appointments. They'll also provide individual and crisis counseling for offenders that are in the community, in community corrections program.
Okay. So last question, in your vantage point, do you see any duplication of duties, responsibilities within those two positions?
Not really, because the MAT program is, people are entirely in the jail and they're going through a separate, different protocol. Most of the people that will be in community corrections may go residential or inpatient. A few of them may be referred for MAT treatment, but that would be directly to the provider if that is what is deemed as necessary.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Top.
Having seen this, having been lucky enough to see both Barb Hankey and Christina Nicholas and how they interact and work together, it's an amazing thing, folks. I mean, most counties don't have what we have. Those two women are just amazing in the work that they do, so I would thank them both. And thank the Sheriff's Department for being, you know, some Sheriff's Department won't even consider this and throw someone in jail and throw the key away and that's it. So, thank you all.
Okay. Any other questions on item number 2? If not, call the roll.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes. Motion carried. Next is item number 3, Parks and Rec Commission. Residential lease, Oakland Urban Growers, Waterford Oaks. Crawford is moving it. Zach is supporting it.
Good
Go ahead.
morning, Commissioners. Dan Stutzel, Executive Officer, Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission. Phil Castoni, our Chief of Business Operations for Parks and Recreation, and Jeff Phelps, our Fiscal Coordinator. This is a residential lease in keeping with the policy that our commission has passed and has been shared with this with the Board of Commissioners. It's for a 1,392 square foot house at 1580 Scott Lake Road. Further details, I'll give it to Phil.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. This house is at Waterford Oaks, is directly adjacent to the greenhouse complex. We have 2 separate leases going today because of the state statutes with residential leases. The Oakland Urban Growers is using this as a residential lease for their caretaker. So that's the lease you have in front of you. It is a 10-year lease, which is the same with the greenhouse complex. We have a market rate study done by facilities to determine the market rate. That does increase 2% with all our leases. Parks and Recreation is responsible for the maintenance of the property for that. And otherwise, it follows our standard residential leases that's been in front of you.
This isn't the house that has the barn that you're going to move behind.
It is.
It is that house?
Correct.
It's the house up on,
Yep, okay.
on Scott Lake Road.
Yep. Okay, any questions on the lease? If not, I'll call the roll on item number 3.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Next is item number 4, Parks and Rec, lease Oakland Urban Growers, Waterford Oaks. Crawford is moving it, Long is supporting it. So, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the 10-year lease that is in complement to the residential lease. This makes the leasee responsible for the maintenance and utilities of this facility for a 10-year period with a 10-year renewable extension. And this would take this through 2027.
Okay. Any questions? If not, call the roll on item number 4.
Crawford?
Yes.
Oh,
Woodward?
wait. Dave, did you have a question?
So, I mean, this is the greenhouse?
This is the greenhouse
The
operation.
greenhouse operation, okay. So I guess my question, anyway, with this lease and everything, who comes in and does the work in the greenhouse?
The actual operation of it?
Yeah.
This would be Oakland Urban Growers.
Okay.
Volunteers.
Is it just, so it's just volunteers? Are they using?
They would have employees.
They have employees.
I mean, there's kind of like a 3-person father, son, and another guy who's the main operators of this that are gonna be doing the initial legwork, but as they grow their business, they'll hire employees to help them in there, so.
And one of the components of this lease is that they have to do a educational public program at least once a month through the duration of the contract, so that there's additional public benefit to understand how a greenhouse works and how your food gets from the greenhouse to your table and so on.
But there's no retail operation here, it'd be wholesale.
This is all wholesale.
Got it. Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now we'll go on roll call for item number 4.
Crawford.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Caldwell.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
You want to stop the vote?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Taub.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes. Okay, motion carried. Tom has a question.
I have just one brief, who pays utilities on this thing?
So we're gonna pay the utilities, but we are then re-invoicing Oakland Urban Growers, so they will pay the utilities as we invoice them.
Okay, because the utilities on a greenhouse and the
Are
water
significant.
makes me crazy thinking
Exactly, yeah.
about it.
And
The
part of our
electricity.
ongoing cost has been is utilities to keep the.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's what this item 4 did, was assign those.
Transfer that cost over, yes.
Yeah. Tree sales for Conservation District, is there any agreement on that or any discussion?
Do you know what?
There has not been, but it doesn't mean we can't. I mean, that could actually be one of the public programs that's offered there,
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was reading it. Yeah, so, okay.
We can help facilitate that.
Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Now we're on item number 5. Now we ask all the questions after we already passed it. but-
Can we move to item 6? We're waiting for one of the presenters to see the
Okay,
votes are
we'll
ready.
go to item number 6. Human Resources Department fiscal year 2017, fiscal year 2018, collective bargaining agreement for employees represented by the Michigan American Federation of State and County and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, Council 25, Local 2437, Circuit Court, Family Court Employees. Need a motion. Todd is moving it. Cowell is supporting it. Go ahead, Jordy.
Good morning. This is a collective bargaining agreement for the employees that are out of circuit court. There's approximately 85 employees represented. It consists of youth and family caseworkers, deputy registrars, and clerical support. This is a 2-year agreement. It does date back to last October 1 and carries forward to September 30, 2018. The wages for fiscal year 2017 are at a 2%. We did look at one particular classification and determined that that classification needed to be elevated to a higher level, and that's noted in the contract. And for fiscal year 2018, when we started negotiations, we had offered a 2% with a Me Too for fiscal year 18. They have accepted a Me Too for benefits, healthcare, retirement, and they will now be elevated to the deferred comp of a $500 employee-employer match, and we've updated the emergency manager language.
Any discussion? If not, call the roll on item number 6.
Woodward.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Caldwell.
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
Taub.
Yes.
Fleming.
Yes.
Crawford.
Oh, he's out.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Are we ready for 5 or we go to 7?
I don't see it.
Okay, we'll go to item number 7. Department of Health and Human Services Children's Village Division interlock agreement between Oakland County and the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the provision of shelter residence foster care amendment. Tob is moving it. Long is supporting it. Go ahead.
Good morning. This amendment will extend our existing contract with the state of Michigan for the provision of shelter care services for neglected and abused children at Mandy's Place. The extension is from September 30th of 2017 to September 30th of 2018. The terms of the contract remain the same. And just as a side note to let you know, the state has made a determination that they're raising the per diem effective October 1st for all shelters. So that increase for us will go from $234 to $359.
And
So a separate amendment will be coming forward for that.
Right.
Yeah, Commissioner Bowman.
I think, I just want to make sure I'm accurate in this, but you noted even though we get an increase in the per diem rate, even if we receive, I guess if we make money, we have to get 50% of that back. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it seems like it would be costly. I mean, is that case ever happened very much?
Not specifically to my knowledge. I just noted, as a result of the per diem rate, that we would basically be housing foster children to make revenue from the state, and that would not be good.
Yeah, it can't be used as the money.
So we couldn't utilize it for another initiative. We'd have to give that profit back.
So, okay. Any other questions on item number 7? If not, call the roll on item number 7.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Next is item number 8, Public Service Department, Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center. That's right. Oh, we need a motion. Fleming and Crawford. Good morning, Joni.
Good morning. I'm here today to garner approval of a $25,000 donation. It's a living trust from an Alexander Bzenko, who has willed this to the animal shelter.
Commissioner Taub has a question.
Is this the same person that's been giving us money all these years?
No,
Oh,
this is a different person.
That's wonderful.
I know.
So what are you going to use it for?
Well, what happens is it goes into our legacy fund account, and that account is primarily used to help with animals that we come across that are injured or are sick or ill, and that need to be sent out to a local veterinarian. So it gives an animal a second chance. Most animals that come to a shelter like that would be euthanized, so we try to help them if we can. If we feel as though that we can help them, then we'll send them to a vet.
Okay. Commissioner Zach had a question, I think.
So, I'm thrilled, thank whoever it is, it's great. But in the past, we used the legacy fund for some food purchases. And I just hope that we are budgeting appropriately so that we're feeding the animals, that we don't have to go into this gift fund for basic needs.
Okay, Commissioner Woodward.
And maybe my memory doesn't serve me well right now. Have we used the legacy fund to fund additional veterinarian hours?
I don't believe
I don't
so.
believe so, okay.
I think we did a separate resolution on that, but it didn't come out of the legacy fund, I don't believe.
There was an appropriation to do that if there were additional hours needed, and there were not additional
Yes.
hours used to make any transfers for that program.
But it would have come from the legacy fund.
No, we allocated money.
No, we allocated,
You allocated additional funding, and it was 500 additional hours for vet services.
Right.
That was going to be appropriated from the legacy fund if additional hours were in fact needed. The hours
So
were
my
not
memory
utilized.
was not completely off. So if
Okay.
it was used, it would have come from the legacy fund.
And the hours
But
were not-
and they were not used.
utilized.
That's interesting. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on item number 8? If not, call the roll.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long? Yes. Todd?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Now, being Steve is here, we're going to go to item number 5. Number 5 is County Exec and Water Resource Commissioner, Water Main Extension, Greencastle Subdivision, Farmington Hills Interlock Agreement Project Appropriation. Need a motion. Fleming and Long. Thank you. Go ahead, Keith or Steve.
You folks may remember
back in, I think it was in March, we obtained approval from you folks to fund the construction of a water main in the Greencastle subdivision that's associated with the Middle Belt Tunnel project that we've been here several times on. You folks approved the money and then also authorized me to enter into contract with Farmington Hills for the water main and also for a groundwater testing program so that we could demonstrate to the residents that their groundwater there is still satisfactory. That interlocal agreement was put in place in April. What we're really asking to do today is just move the money from the catastrophic claims fund to the billing and liability fund so that when the bills start to roll in, those monies can be tracked out of the billing and liability fund, and then if there are any insurance recoveries, we're still pursuing claims against the insurance carrier and some of the professional engineers involved. If there's any recovery from that, then it's going to go back into the billing and liability fund under a special account that's being created.
Okay. Commissioner Topp.
Yes, I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, are we still using this company that messed up? Oh,
Steve?
The engineering firms, the consultants, we're still in negotiations with the consultants. It's possible there could be pending litigation, but at this time we're
that's not what I mean.
But I think
Right.
Shelley's asking that for new projects. Are we still using them? Are they still on our list to use?
They're still on they still have other projects with our office that they're already engaged in. We haven't awarded them any new work, if that answers your question.
yeah, are they, they're still on that Middle Belt and 12 Mile or whatever? Is that
Yeah.
their?
That's correct. That's the main project they're working on for us, yes.
I mean, the project is
Yeah.
basically done except for maybe some landscaping.
Right, it's basically in the cleanup closeout phase for the project itself.
Okay. Are they going to be working on the Farmington Evergreen stuff?
I don't believe so, no.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Long.
So do the residents of this Greencastle, they pay the hookup fee? Or
No, we paid it.
Actually, as a part of the, what I was authorized to do and part of our understanding with Farmington Hills, and basically we're paying for 75% of the installation of the water main. Farmington Hills is actually going to contract and install it. We're going to be giving the residents there up to $4,000 per home to hook
That's
up.
that 4,000.
So that, yeah, I should have mentioned that, but
It's
the
in here,
hookup.
it's in here,
so
but that's
it's-
for the hook, we're
it's-
giving that.
Yes, for the people that want to hook up. So it's the installation of the water main, the hookups, and then the groundwater testing program. There's really kind of three components that are involved, and that's why we're asking for the transfer of the money.
I can provide a brief update on the groundwater testing. We did another round of testing in June. Everything is in order for the residents. And as far as the project being installed, all the permits have been approved. We helped fast track those through, and I believe they're preparing to go out for bids.
Okay, Commissioner Long.
Is everyone, all the residents off, when they came in for a public comment, are they all off the tanks and up? I mean, what are they, how's their water source right now?
Yes, everybody has the appropriate safe water source. Nobody's on tanks. I think we're just have 2 or 3 more folks. We're dealing with equipment issues and filters and things like that, and we're coordinating that through the insurance company, who's finally stepped up to take the lead on these things.
Okay, because they went through that a long time.
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Woodward.
And so everything's in place, city putting out the bid to actually do the water hookup and everything like that. What's the estimated timeline for that?
I haven't seen the schedule from the city. I know we fast-tracked the permits, so I know this is a fast-tracked item for the city. Contractors are real busy, so hopefully they'll get some competitive prices to get this in as soon as possible.
But the water main extension is done, or that's what they're still working on?
Yeah, the plans are done, and I think they're preparing to get contractor bids as soon as possible.
Okay, any other discussion on item number 5? Yeah, Commissioner Bowman.
I just wanted to get clarification on the bottom line funds that are being requested. It notes $1,545,500, and then there's the additional $264,000 for the completion of the water main, and then the additional money that's being set aside for the hookups. Is that
The 1.5 million is all inclusive.
all inclusive? Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on item number 5? If not, call the roll on item number 5.
Sad?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? Yes. Middleton?
Yes. Next is item number 9. Department of Public Services Medical Examiner's Office Agreement with Aquatours.
Arcturus.
Assure Healthcare PLC. Need a motion. Long is moving it. Fleming is supporting. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. Kaz Myarka with the Medical Examiner's Office. Avid Pharmaceuticals is conducting research for Alzheimer's disease. They have 200 patients that have signed up for this research, and it's conducted on terminally ill patients. They've requested the Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office to conduct the cranial autopsies for this. We don't know how many we are going to actually receive at this point. It's a matter of where the location is and everything. They've agreed through the agreement here to reimburse the Medical Examiner's Office based upon our current fee schedule as it's in place.
Okay. Commissioner Todd.
Yes, I have a question. Did we ever resolve the contract for organ donations and tissue donations?
With the Gift of Life?
Yes.
No, that's not resolved. In fact, we did meet with them the other day, so. And I'm just coming on to the Medical Examiner's Office, so I am moving forward and trying to work through those issues also. So we have not resolved that.
I think this has
That's
been going
fine,
on for
'cause
10
we'll
years or
talk
12
about
years.
today's issue and not a past issue.
Okay, just a question. I'm looking.
2-0.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Todd.
It's actually an issue I really support, so keep going.
2-0.
Okay, now, we'll give you quiet and you can go ahead.
Well, I'm just looking forward to news on that issue. It's been about 10 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, okay, any other questions? Commissioner Woodward.
So, I mean, I see the schedule that they'll reimburse for our costs. I mean, I guess, is it a cost for the total I mean, is it an additional exam that you would do that you wouldn't otherwise do because these are terminal?
Correct. In this case, it wouldn't be a complete autopsy. It would just be a cranial autopsy. So based upon our fee schedule, if they're an Oakland County resident, we would normally charge $500. If it's a non-Oakland County resident, it's $700, plus any other cost, such as the transportation of the person to the Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office.
Now, does that fee, I mean, often our fees don't fully cover the full cost of services. Like, does that $500 for an Oakland County resident, does it fully cover
Yes,
the
that would.
cost of I mean, staff, operating facility, whatever the cost of it is.
Yeah,
is it 100% recovery? Yes,
it should be, as I would say, revenue neutral. So there's no additional cost that would come out of the Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office. So it should be what we've calculated. Those costs are based upon our time and our personnel that would need to be used for that.
Is there additional work to, gather this, handle this for a pharmaceutical company? Which in general, I mean, obviously I support this. I mean, the research and addressing Alzheimer's and all this other type of stuff. But I also know it's a pharmaceutical company that's going to use this research to make more drugs. That's going to end up charging me ridiculous amounts of money for, in the end. And so I guess if there are additional things, even from the gathering of paperwork, staff time, and other things, is that recovered as well?
Yes, that would all be recovered. However, they've shipped everything to us that we would need, so they've covered all those costs. So the only cost for us is the actual cranial autopsy.
Okay, any other questions? If not, call the roll on item number 9.
Long? Yes. Tom?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Koa? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item number 10, Department of Information Technology, Windstream Contract 003621, extension through 2019. Who's handling this? Oh, down to that. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Tim.
Oh, I need a motion. Fleming and Bowman. Go ahead.
I'm Mike Tim, Director of IT. Thank you for receiving me this morning. We're asking for an extension to an existing contract that we have with Windstream. This contract provides local phone service as well as backup toll-free long distance. We'd like to have this extension because we're in the process with the UCC program that we've talked about of replacing this contract. So rather than go out for bid and potentially replace this functionality and then remove it again within the next year, we'd just like to extend the contract at the existing rates.
Okay. So, makes sense. Any discussion? If not, call the roll on item number 10.
Tom?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Next is item number 11, Facilities Management, Facilities Planning and Engineering, Juvenile Court Deputy Registrar's Office Reconfiguration Project. Need a motion. Colwell is moving it, Fleming is supporting it. So. Yeah, you guys might as well take permanent seats up there. You got the
Good
rest of
morning.
the agenda, so. So, okay, now number 11, we've, the motion's before us, so go ahead.
All right, this is the Juvenile Deputy Register Office Reconfiguration Project. Sorry, Ed Joss, Manager of Facilities Planning and Engineering, here with John Cooperrider. This renovation is about 1,300 square feet, not a real large project. We have budgeted at about 40,000, and excuse me. In your packet are drawings showing the existing and proposed, as well as a breakdown of the estimates. Not a very large project, but it is funded by the CIP. Therefore, it requires your review and approval. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And John is here as well.
Where are these offices? Are they on the first floor or down at the far end?
Yeah, the first floor, the east wing,
Okay.
all the way down at the end. It's our legal processing unit that processes all the legal documents for our juvenile delinquency and neglect cases. There's a staff of about, I'd say, 15 to 20 in a really small, compact little area. And this is really just going to create a little bit more space for them, get some better workflow, people flow through that area, and it also is going to create an area for the public to view documents as well. So it's very, very much needed, so we appreciate it.
Okay. Any questions? If there's no questions, we'll call the roll on item number 11.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes. Motion carried. Next is item number 13. What? Oh, 12. Okay. Facilities management. Gee, it started out the same. Children's Village Dishwasher Replacement Project. Need a motion. Todd is moving it. Crawford is supporting it. So, go ahead.
All right, good morning again. This project is to replace the existing dishwashers up at buildings B, C, D, G, and H up at the village. The dishwashers are older, in need of replacement. Replacement parts are hard to find. The dishwashers were competitively bid, and the lowest responsible bidder is Compton Supply. The project is estimated at about just under 50,000. Again, not a very large project, but it is funded by the CIP.
Any question? Did we just buy dishwashers for the jail?
The jail.
Did you get put out for a bulk, or is it a different kind of dishwasher?
This is a different kind of dishwasher, so this was a separate RFP.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
5 dishwashers, right? So they're almost 10,000 apiece.
I believe, is there?
5 with the buildings. I can't see what it's broken down anywhere.
Yeah, I believe so. Jody, do you know, is it 1 per building?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, any other questions? If not, call the roll on item number 12.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? Yes. Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Tubb?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried, thank you. Next is item number 13, North Oakland Healthcare Chiller Replacement Project. Need a motion. Zach and Cowell. Go ahead.
Glad to hear that. Good morning. Joe Murphy, manager of maintenance, facilities maintenance, operations. The next three items on the agenda are going to be part of our capital improvement CIP program, addressing some key issues from older infrastructure and equipment to our buildings. And the first one would be to replace a chiller at the North Oakland Health Center that's 18 years old. The total project with contingencies running $200,925, and we need approval to move forward with that project.
Any questions? I mean, it sounds like chillers are about the same as roofs. You're just always having, with this many buildings, it seems like you're always having to replace one.
18 years.
So, if there's no questions on 13, we'll call the roll on 13.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Tubb?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Next is item number 14, Facilities Management Water Main Valve Testing and Replacement Project. Need a motion. Fleming and Long. Okay, go ahead.
This second project here is to allow us to have a piece of equipment so we can test our valves and fire hydrants, make sure that everything's working, so if we do have a water main break on campus, we can isolate certain areas of the pipe and not disrupt the rest of the campus, something that's way overdue and needed to be done. This was through a local government purchasing cooperative. The equipment came in at $61,325 as part of the capital improvement.
Okay, Commissioner Topp.
So this will be not only the main campus, but other buildings of ours elsewhere?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Woodward.
So when we're saying testing, are we testing water quality? For
Our valves, exercising our water
testing
valves.
pressure and
And,
those types of things.
There's equipment that turns off the water to different buildings, so if we have a pipe break, we want to isolate that so they're available to shut off so that we can do the work. Our fire hydrants on campus, we'll be able to test those as well.
Got it.
So you have a loop that you can isolate and
Correct.
Isolate between the break and the other building. Okay. Any other questions on 14? If not, call the roll on item number 14.
Bowman?
Yes.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Tubb?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Next is, item number 15, Facilities Management, Building Management System Replacement Project, / first phase. Need a motion first. Tobb is moving it, Fleming is supporting it. Go ahead.
About a year ago, we were in front of the board this is the system, our energy management system that's obsolete on its last legs. We worked closely with Corp Council, purchasing, IT, to develop a pilot program in which we were really successful and happy with the vendor that's doing that work. So this would be taking us into phase 1 of doing more buildings. There's a detailed plan of breakdown on pricing per building that we're looking at doing. It's a $1 million project that's funded through the CIP, and we need approval to move forward on that as well.
Any questions? You have a list of the buildings that, these are just in the first phase?
Correct.
And when do you think the second phase would, how long will it take to complete this first phase?
A year, Steve?
1 year. 1 year?
Okay. So, okay, any other questions? If not, call the roll on item number 15.
Cowell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Tubb?
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, is there any other business to come before the Finance Committee? If not, we'll take a short recess and then start our budget hearings. We have budget hearing for Board of Commissioners and the Library Board, and then we have wrap-up.
Yes, we did.
Okay, but take a 5-minute break. like to reconvene the Finance Committee. And why don't we call roll? Make sure everybody's here.
Okay. Okay, Colwell? Here. Zach? Here. Long? Here. Todd? Here. Fleming?
Here.
Crawford?
Here.
Woodward?
Here.
Bowman?
Here.
Middleton?
Here, we're all back. Okay. Next, we have Board of Commissioners presentation for the budget. And Chris, and I've got a book up here that I'm going to get you with. So. We have Board of Commissioners and then Library Board, and we'll cover them both at the same time. In the big book, it's page 190 for Board of Commissioners. For Library Board, it's 192. In the categorical, the small book, it's page 49 to 51 and 52 to 54 for Library. So, Chris, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. First of all, I want to make sure everybody's comfortable with the temperature. We make sure that for the day of the board meeting, that everybody was 100% comfortable. We made sure that you were uncomfortable during the other budget hearings. You were 100% comfortable during
and he
our
did that
budget
well.
hearings.
Yes, okay.
And we had Art put down an extra layer of plywood on your way in here. We're calling that the Holdsworth Bridge. So, anyways, this month marks my 1-year anniversary since you've made this appointment, and I want to thank you for that honor. Or offer you this opportunity to express your public regret for that decision. I just want to make a few comments. I know you're reaching the end of this budget process, and I don't want to belabor you anymore. But I want to thank my staff, who are doing an excellent job and acting as a great team. We haven't always had that pleasure as a board, and they really are doing a first-class job. They care about the quality of the work that we put out as a board, and I think it shows. And the applause you gave me, I really think is only due to the work that they do. And I think I'm just very fortunate to have the team that we have here right now. We're continually looking for opportunities to make improvements to help you serve your constituents better. And during the last year, I think we've made some strides in helping to make the board's business run smoother. We've made some improvements in our business, helping us cut delays in our business and improve the technology of the business of the board, including the technology that we're actually up and running now and broadcasting our meetings. And you all look really good. I just went back and checked. Jamie's in there right now.
But I'm running out of powder that I have to put on my head.
I checked. There's no glare at all on any of you. And so things are running well with the board. We just continue to try to look for ways to innovate and make things run better. This team atmosphere couldn't be possible without the support you continue to give us. I'd like to speak for our team here at the board and thanking you for that continuous support. Looking forward, one of the top priorities for our board of commissioners is to continue to implement and overhaul our communication strategy, and that's one of the things that we've been working on an ongoing basis. And over the last couple of months, one of the things we've tried to do is to work with the IT department and implement and integrate with the social media staff over there. And you've seen that where we've worked with the already existing platforms they have and take our press releases, our different events, and integrate with the platforms they have and the existing audience that they've already built. So you've seen with the youth in government, with the gun violence and the Lock It Up campaigns, where we've built that into that. We've live streamed and done those things. And so it's already, I think, shown in the fact we've done Facebook ads, that sort of thing. So now the next step of what we're doing is we're working with them with a total overhaul of our web page, which is not only going to do a nice job of creating more of an interactive site from the board's perspective, but one of the things we're working on is trying to make it more engaging from each one of your individual pages so that you can interact in a better way with your constituents. So hopefully within the next month, 6 weeks or so, we'll be able to launch that. And that brings me to where I think we're going to see perhaps on our budget the biggest difference. As we're going to launch that, one of the things we would like to do is do a abbreviated annual report that we would like to be able to probably mail to your constituents that will be individualized, that will work with you on an individualized basis to your constituents. So we've put $100,000, partially funded by some savings from ending our webcasting contract, and then adding some money from the board special projects fund. So we'll be working with you, Kate, and our new staff member that we'll be bringing on, get some information from you on what you would like to highlight there, and probably an oversized postcard. But what we'll be doing is redirecting people back, since you'll only be able to put a limited amount of information on a postcard, redirecting people back to the website and allowing them to get more information about the budget. We'd like them to be able to do an interactive survey. And of course, one of the best things we'd be able to do is capture their email, allow them to sign up for an electronic newsletter so that we can continually communicate with them and kind of catch up to the 21st century and how people are communicating with their constituents. So that's part of an overall strategy, and that would be really the most major difference you'll see in the board's budget before you today. If that works well, then we'll be back again in the following year. But so that's really the only difference, and it's only in this 1 year's budget. It's not in the triannual budget. Just it's the one blip in this 1 year budget. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions as it relates to just the board's into the budget, and turn it over to Laura as it relates to the library board's budget. We're wrapped up together under the whole umbrella of the Board of Commissioners.
Is there any questions for Chris on the Board of Commissioners? Yes.
So we're going to continue having interns, I presume.
We're going to take a short break. When we brought Brandon on, Brandon's going to be leaving shortly. But when we brought Brandon on, it was a little bit of a quick fix as we were transitioning when Julia left for the Water Resources Commissioner. What we want to do is take the opportunity to plan a little better for what we want our intern to be able to do and our intern to be able to learn when they're here. So with Connie's help and Michael's help and Kate, we're going to step back, plan, think about what we want them to accomplish, and then work with some of the local colleges to recruit. So
Okay.
it might be a little bit before we bring one on.
Okay, so, but that salary, quote unquote, is built into our budget, I presume?
Yes, we do have the authorization to bring another intern on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions for Chris on the Board of Commissioners? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think the cameras, bringing the stuff in-house, I think the quality of the product, fantastic. And it's taken a long while to get there. Do we foresee any other technology upgrade need in the near future? I mean, what that looks like? I mean, whether it's not just a continuation of this, but like, how do we continue to live up to being cutting edge as it comes to technology in this on this board?
Well, I know Commissioner Crawford would say.
That was actually a tee up to Commissioner Crawford.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he would
problem.
say a voting board system, automatic electronic voting board system. It's been on my list to go over and take a look at the system they have over in Macomb County that integrates with how they keep the records of their voting. So it integrates with the county clerk system there. I've kind of been a little shy about going to meet the county clerk over in Macomb County. I'd be pending any indictments. You know, we've had some struggles getting this system up and running, so I do want to go over there and see how that is running. But one of the things that we really would like to do, and I think it would be a nice thing, not just for us at the board, but for the people that come here and testify, is to implement the ability to teleconference and teletestify, so to speak, with this television system that we have here. You know, we have around the table here and around in their audience probably well over $1 million in salary on a regular basis. And you know, with our cutting edge technology department, IT department, I think we can continue to work with them, you know, for instance, we have people from our Novi and Troy district courts that have to come back here sometimes for 3 committee meetings in a week's span of time. To have them drive up here, drive back, sit here for an hour at a time, it sure would be nice. Or really for, if we'd like to talk to our legislators in Lansing, to be able to just click on, you know, a web.
That's great.
Click and get on the web and then talk to you folks back and forth. I think we should catch up with the times to be able to do that. So, you know, we've given them our wish list. Fortunately, we blew through a lot of our hours with IT to get this system up and running, but Phil, wherever you are, please. Yeah, that's something.
Maybe we need to appropriate more hours.
Yeah, that's something that we've talked to them about. So, yeah, there's other things on our wish list as well, but that comes to mind as one of the top things. And of course, we always welcome your feedback if there are other things as well that you'd like to see.
Okay, if there's no other questions for Chris, we'll go to Laura. Library Board. Yeah.
Good morning, I'm Laura Mancini, Director of Library Services for the Adams Pratt Oakland County Law Library, and I'm joined this morning by John Chambers, who's Chair of the Oakland County Library Board.
Okay, Laura, and before I forgot to announce, everybody, Jamie wants to make sure you use your mic and the green light's on when you're talking. So go ahead, Laura.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. John.
The Law Library has had a great year for the past year, and we very much appreciate and thank you for the support that you've given us. We've seen a small increase in usage as the economy has started to come back a little, and our numbers are starting to come back as well, and that's been a good thing. We serve probably 75% of our patrons are members of the general public who are representing themselves in court on a legal issue. About 20% of our patrons are solo practitioner attorneys or attorneys who work in small firms, like our good friend Commissioner Weipert over there. He's a regular at the Law Library. And then about 10% of our service is geared to supporting the courts, both probate and circuit and district of Oakland County, as well as the prosecuting attorney's office and corporation counsel. So that's who we serve. In terms of our public service this year, we've added 2 legal aid programs, bringing us up to 4. We now have legal aid clinics 3 times a week at the Law Library, so if any of your constituents could use that service, information is available always on our website. We've worked to increase our electronic presence. We have a new online catalog that we debuted this year that allows us to make our electronic resources much more accessible to our patrons right at their desktop. Not that we don't love people coming into the library, but let's face it, we live in a 24/7 culture, and we want to be able to push as much of our content out to the public as possible so they can access it wherever they may be. We've also increased our social media presence. We have 3 social media channels: Facebook, LinkedIn, and eGovernment, where we're doing a digital newsletter to our patrons, and we'd be more than happy to add you to that list if you'd like. And our overall goal is just to continue to move forward in providing great service to all of our constituent groups and work to become a much more electronic library. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Chambers to see if he has any comments.
Laura's.
Yeah, go.
Push the button. There we go. Laura's highlighted a lot of different things. Since I've been on the board, for example, we had started out with 1 legal aid clinic. So stop and think, we've expanded that to 4. We don't pay for that, but we allow them to come into the facility, use the facility, and work with the people that need that. And we're seeing a greater and greater need. The same thing with the private practitioner that comes in, wants to look for a variety of information. And that's important. We did a 10-year forecast of where we're going to be, and we want to be more electronic. But I must say, not everything is going to be electronic. There are some publishers, and we have a very small list of publishers that will not put stuff electronically. Some courts do not like electronic information. It depends on the law and what's going on there. And other things such as, gee, it's nice to have it electronically, but it costs me more. So there's a transition many times that goes on before you get to that electronic process. We're not such as like in a business where I can electronically go and get information because it's a business and I'm there for a profit throughout, and that information doesn't change, or that judge isn't dependent upon this piece of paper that you printed out, and hopefully it was printed out correctly. Hopefully you didn't change it. So there's a lot of different things that take place in that. And we're busy. One of the things I should emphasize is that 10-year plan, we said we were going to reduce our staff, and 2 years ago we did reduce our staff by 1 person. So we're planning that, and we proceed in that fashion. And then in about the 8th year, we'll hopefully go back and take a look and do another 10-year plan, because I think that's the guidance that we like to have, and I think that's the guidance that gets us to the end product.
Okay. Commissioner Taub, you have a question?
I do. I just have a comment rather than a question, if I may, Mr.
Yep.
Chair. I'm going to request that the library board and Laura, when they plan their annual meetings, ask Mr. Ward for a copy of the Board of Commissioners calendar, because several meetings have been, a couple of meetings last year were planned when the Board of Commissioners had MAC or NACO, and that means that your representative on that board cannot attend, and there may well be other people who often attend or act as facilitators at our meetings cannot attend. So I'm asking that you use the Board of Commissioners calendar when planning meetings. Thank you.
I will work with Chris to develop that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, thank Chris and Laura. Thank you for the presentation. Yep. Okay, that concludes our budget hearings. Now we're going to go up to the wrap-up phase of the budget. And everybody's got this packet. And it has amendment list up on the right-hand corner. We will first we'll move the budget, then that motion will be before us. And then we can amend the motion. And we're going to amend it with Part A, B, and then Part C of the amendment is the Finance Committee amendments. So first, I need a motion to approve the County Executive recommended budget. Okay, Crawford and Taub. So now the budget's before us, and the first budget amendment is going to be Amendment A. Beginning at the first page of the handout. And Lynn, you want to talk about any of these budgets?
Section A amendments represent Board of Commissioner resolutions that were adopted since the recommended budget was presented to you.
Oh.
That's what you need, right?
Yeah, you can move Amendment A. Yeah, okay.
Support. Section A.
Okay.
Section A, Section A.
Okay.
Section
So,
A, all 1 through 17.
okay. And it's been moved and Taub supported it. Amendment A is before us now. So that's 1 through 17. And they're resolutions that the Board of Commissioners have voted on throughout the year, or since
the recommendation was
since
presented.
July 1st, yeah. Any questions on Amendment A? If not, call the roll.
Zach?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? Yes. Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, now the budget's as amended with Amendment A. Now, Amendment B is Human Resources Committee recommended amendment. Taub is moving and Long is supporting Human Resources Commission, Amendment B.
So So yesterday at the HR committee, there was an amended salary package that was presented. And it was actually updated based on a state court administrator's office memorandum that came through on August 16th to adjust the probate judges' salaries. And so we've made that amendment, and it's reflected, the amendment amount is actually reflected in section B, A1.
B,
1A.
1A, probate court. The second item there, yeah.
So this amended salary package is what will be included in the finance committee.
Okay, and it's the most updated information we have. Yes, Commissioner Top.
Is, what happened to Circuit?
Well,
Circuit wasn't changed.
So we have a supplemental amount for the circuit and district court judges. We pay $45,724. The state reimburses us. The state covers the balance of that. With the probate judges, we actually pay 100% of the salary, and the state reimburses us that. So we had to make that amendment. This one's not working? Okay. Maybe this one will work better. So we had to make that amendment to increase their salaries based on that August 16th.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions on Amendment B? If not, call the roll.
Long?
Yes.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, now we have two amendments to the budget. Now we're on item, Amendment C, Finance Committee recommended amendments. We have, there's already 3 of them on here.
Mr. Chair, would it be appropriate to move those 3? Because I have some.
Yeah, let's move those 3, and then we can do other Finance Committee amendments. Okay, Crawford's moving, Fleming is supporting. The Amendment C, Finance Committee recommended amendments 1, 2, and 3. Any discussion on those 3? If not, call the roll on item C, 3, and the 3 amendments.
Taub?
Yes.
Fleming?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Okay. Colwell?
Yes.
Zach?
Yeah.
Long?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay. Now we are on, is there any other amendments to come before the budget from the committee? Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have 6, just 6.
Okay.
The other 6 got taken off. You hear that?
How many?
6, right. And I'll go one by one. I'm going to pass them out as we're going so they don't get mixed up because I don't think they're titled.
So I'm going to number it as
This is number
W1.
W1, that
Okay.
works. And these were things that kind of came up in the context of the overall budget that we talked about, and so I'll just jump right in. The first one deals with the local road improvement program, and I think it's something that I don't think anyone around this table is not impressed with the speed in which the resources were leveraged, the fact that it yielded nearly $20 million worth of local road projects, the 2 years that we put into it, and while there is $1 million held for the next fiscal year and the 2 following, in our books. This proposal is about, because of the popularity of it, of bringing in parity with the Tri-Party program, the economic development value, the placemaking, strengthening our local communities, making our roads safer. We know roads, infrastructure, which is going to be the next amendment, as duly noted, that vastly underfunded. State has still yet to figure out how to fix this problem. This is the plan here is to at least do more within our scope, which is a small percentage of our overall budget operation. Again, to bring in parity. I think this is probably the top priority for our caucus. I think it is a demonstration, the leadership who oversees the committee, that demonstrated high need. moved faster than the tri-party program, largely because of, a lot of communities are dealing with what everything's dealing with in local government in terms of coming through the Great Recession and struggling to make ends meet. So, getting short and summary, that this this amendment is intended to double our investment for the local road improvement program. That again, to make it even more successful.
Okay, I have Commissioner Taub and Commissioner Zach.
Oh, no, I don't want to speak, but was
Oh,
there a
that's-
second?
you,
I'm
sorry.
he's
That's right.
amending, and I'm second.
Support. Okay, the amendment's been put forth in with support, so.
You know,
Okay.
I have major concerns this year about the unknown. We have something called the Indigent Defense Fund, and we have to comply. We will eventually have to comply with this. And my fear about using any more of our fund balance is that we don't know what that deep hole is going to include. We don't have a building. We don't have a building to house people. We're talking 30 million, give or take a buck. We don't have furniture. We don't have phone equipment. We don't have anything for an entirely huge new department. In fact, I don't even know who it's going to be under. Who's going to run the thing? I have no clue about that. So I am very reluctant to spend another dime of fund balance until I have a price tag, and until I get some word from the state of Michigan that they're going to reimburse us maybe on this, that, and the other thing. So I am not going to be supporting amendments at this time because I just think we need that funding. We need to have some money in the bank, folks, to build what we have to build and to hire the attorneys we have to hire and the staff that we have to hire and the copy machines that we have to buy or rent, whatever. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Zach.
So I'm strongly in support of this. We did introduce a resolution that hasn't been heard, saying this is coming. I have heard from countless communities outside of our district. If you recall, the city manager from the city of Auburn Hills has been here speaking, as well as sending communications, how he favors this program. It really has brought more economic development here. I hear your concerns, Commissioner Taub, but frankly, we're not in this alone. If the state comes out with this, they're going to have to produce some money. Right now, and it's a process. This is immediate results in building our economy in Oakland County. I strongly urge you to support this. I think it's an investment that we need to make, recognizing that we might have indigent defense in the future.
Okay. Commissioner Fleming.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Woodward. I have chaired this local road improvements subcommittee, and it's been well received, and I think it's worked really well. But we're not going to be able to fix all the cities and townships' roads with $1 million or $2 million or $10 million. You know? I'm confident that what we're doing with $1 million is the right thing to do. I'm not prepared at this point, as the chair of this committee, to recommend that we double the amount that we're putting into this local road improvement. I think it's worked well. I think that just adding another $1 million is not going to solve the problems we have. But I'm pleased that we can even squeeze out $1 million to do it, and I hope we'll continue to do that. But I'm not prepared to double that amount, and wouldn't recommend it.
Also, then I'll get to you, Commissioner Bowman. When we passed the $1 million, the state legislature had increased funding for roads, but they delayed the implementation, the collection of that money, and so this $1 million was helped to bridge that time before the state's money was going to start to come in, and that was a little bit of my decision of why to go along with that $1 million. But next year, the dollars are going to be collected for the gas tax, and there's going to be $600,000 from general fund that the legislatures have promised. And you and I have both been there, we know.
I know, which is why I
let's
put the
see
amendment
that,
in.
let's not let them off the hook. So I'm going to be opposing this also, so. And then Commissioner Bowman.
I just wanted to maybe round out the perspective additionally as a committee member for the bi-party road funding initiative. Since we have enacted this initiative, we have leveraged countless additional funds from communities and have seen firsthand many more multi-year projects that are being initiated by communities, which are ultimately noting that they're not just relying on these funds now, but continually into the future. And by leveraging additional funds by the board, ultimately we expedite the process in which those projects would be completed, and allowing additional funds to be leveraged from those communities to be released for alternative projects. So I see it as prudent. I've seen it not just from my immediate community of Pontiac, but all around the county. And I think it would be justified in allocating additional funds of support.
Okay. Any other, Commissioner Woodward?
And just to round out, and I definitely hear the comments around the table. No one's under the delusion this fixed the road problem. But I will highlight, and I'll bring this comment up again, is that for a generation, more than a generation, we've woefully we have not invested enough in our core infrastructure. And I understand that roads is not central core responsible function of Oakland County government. That being said, that the safety of our roads, the quality of our communities, the economic development, roads are key to our economic development, is central to our purpose. The $1 million leverage significant activity. $2 million, I suspect, will leverage more activity. Would bring it on parity with the tri-party program that we have out there. What's the right amount? I don't know what the right amount is. Is it something? Does it fit within the bounds of what we could afford? Yes. And for those reasons is why I'm bringing it forward. I mean, I guess the other thing too is that we should also not fool ourselves. The state didn't actually designate enough resources. They didn't demonstrate the political courage to invest in their roads. I like to think that there are maybe not as many as when I first came to this board, but more years ahead of me than behind me. And I mean, looking to the future, that we came through the great recessions since the Depression. All local governments are recovering from that. We need to do more and do better. And I think that this would, lend better roads, doesn't fix all the roads, but for something that so quickly moved, it, to me, is a demonstration of not only the popularity of it, but the unmet demand for these type of actions that virtually, I don't think there's a members district that didn't take advantage of this program at a much faster click than we've ever seen tri-party be consumed at. And so I would encourage people to consider, but I definitely hear people's concerns.
Okay. Any other questions on this amendment? If not, let's call the roll on Amendment W1.
Okay, Fleming?
No.
Crawford?
No.
Woodward?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Colwell? No. Zach?
Yes.
Long? No. Cobb?
No.
Middleton?
No. Motion defeated. Next resolution will be W2.
Fantastic. W2s.
Amendment W2.
Amendment W.
Show me the money.
Because it's a Woodward amendment.
Thank you.
Why is it W? So this amendment again speaks.
Number 4.
Mr. Chair, I guess I'll move and look for a second.
It's been moved, Woodward moved, and Bowman supported. W2. You want to read it to us?
Sure. Yeah. I guess I'll speak to it. So this is an attempt to. Oh, that's going to go bigger than that. So I think definitely coming. We look at the horrible flooding conditions of Houston, but frankly, some of the rainfall just this last week in some areas. Our water infrastructure is old. We know it's old, and I brought this up when the Water Resource Commissioner was what was before us in terms of the importance in investing in more water infrastructure. The purpose here is to designate the appropriation of about $500,000 for the development of an Oakland County Save the Rain Fund. And what do I mean by that? I think that, frankly, that there's an opportunity to pilot green infrastructure programs, storm water mitigation techniques on public property, working in partnership with our local communities. The reality is that we've got to do a much better job if we want to mitigate some of the problems, flooding problems, and other things. I mean, the Great Flood of Oakland County that many of us were literally knee-deep in, that we experience is that a strategy of figuring out how to capture that first inch of rain in the ground before it goes into our combined water and sewer systems. That puts greater stress on the aging, outdated infrastructure that's under the ground. This is, the concept here, and it obviously still needs to be developed and everything, but we've got to get the resources there. Preliminary conversation with the Water Resource Commissioner, talking with local communities, looking to possibly other funding partnerships to pool together resources to create a fund to allow for piloting demonstration projects of green infrastructure that helps keep that rainfall on the ground before it rushes into our drain system, particularly at those peak storms, keeping that first inch of rain on the water. I think it's an innovative thing that we can be doing now that speaks to infrastructure issues, that speaks to, again, trying to tackle this problem. Again, we're not going to solve it by ourselves, but the billions of dollars that we know that our sewer and drain infrastructure is in need of in this state, we've got to be leaders in this. And this is modeled, again, after works in other counties, and would ask for your consideration.
Okay. I have Kowal, Zach, and Long on my list. Commissioner Kowal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lawrence Tech is light years ahead of everybody on this very issue. They do have a pilot project on their campus. They have received national recognition for this. They've been invited to the White House and been honored, I think, a couple of years ago for it. There is much research being done on this already, and I think that this is more of a role perhaps for our universities and other people to do this kind of research, and I'm sure that they would be happy to come in and share their knowledge with us, or maybe we could have a tour of what they're doing. I haven't personally seen it, but I guess I don't see the need for us to reinvent the wheel per se, and what can we learn from others that are already doing this? I think we should definitely start there.
Okay. Commissioner Zach.
Well, I would welcome them being a partner, but what this is doing is incentivizing communities to move forward on some of these demonstration projects. Let me illustrate how this would help my little community of Huntington Woods. We were one of the communities that got grossly flooded in 2014, and we've had some continuous flooding in other parts of our community because we're an older community. Rather than spending our road money last year, we telescoped all of our different water systems to determine what's there. And one of the lists of solution is our main community park has to be redone because it's flooding, and we're going to create a storm retention system in our park. And we've been raising money, resources in small communities, cities to do that. Our men's club has helped raise money. There's been donations. This would help incentivize other communities like Huntington Woods to do some creative storm retention projects that will offset some of the funding issues, repair that old infrastructure. I think this is a wonderful, again, like the local road project, incentivize, let us work with, Lawrence Tech to do more of these throughout the county.
Okay, next I have Commissioner Long.
Okay, well, I recognize that the rains that we've had over the last few years have been problems with the flooding and stuff. I just think this funding right now is premature. I'm not saying I don't in the future wouldn't agree with something, but I think it should go through the committee process, and there should be some kind of study group or some kind of program that we have in place before we fund something at the budget time. So, I think most of us would agree around the table that maybe there is a need for this 500,000, but we don't know. And so I would rather it be a resolution or a study group go through a committee and then see what funding or if there is a need for this program. So I would vote no today, but I'm not saying that that in the future we need some funding for it. But I don't think this is the, I just don't know what kind of program we're gonna do, so I would rather have a study group or go through the committee process before funding something that we don't know what we're funding for.
Any other questions, Commissioner Woodward? Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and I think, like, again, the details of how this would work, I think we need to absolutely develop. Requests for study groups and study committees don't always come through. We're in the budget process identifying some dollars that can be used for this. I think, frankly, it should be also contingent on additional dollars being brought in to make it work. It's to the point, Lawrence Tech and everything, they're doing actually some incredible stuff. The engineering work that's over there, best practices of how to do this makes a lot of sense in bringing that information available. But we also have got to, there's some culture change, and there needs to be some demonstration of this. And these things, they cost money. And again, I'm not under any delusion that this solves all these problems. But what it could do is result in 20 more projects that wouldn't otherwise possibly happen. And those might help, precipitate additional projects from happening. As a state, as a region, as a nation, we are far behind where we need to be. And Lawrence Tech would be the first to say, if we don't start doing something, the money to fix what's under the ground isn't there. And so we've got to be incorporating everything at our disposal. And so that's the whole purpose here. Again, I brought it up in some of the conversation where we had the Water Resource Commissioner before us to talk about the importance of this and why this is necessary, and to the extent necessary where they can in the projects that they are doing, they are trying to incorporate this stuff, trying to provide expertise to local communities. They're trying to figure out some other things. I think this is actually, it would be one of these nationally award-winning projects if we got it off the ground. Because it's frankly based, that concept's built on best practices on some successful programs. So there's definitely work that would have to be done here, knowing that there's resources to do this stuff. Let's have that conversation.
Okay. I think in the city of Clarkston, they put a rain garden in probably 6-7 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And it's a conservation group. They have ownership of it. They keep it maintained. It was designed to get water that has salt in it coming off the parking lot. The plants in it highly absorb water. But when it's a local project like that and they have ownership, I think it's taken care of better than what local government can even take care of. And we also have in Clarkston Euphrates elimination area. And that's, again, done by a local group. What's it called? Not
Fragmented.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We know what you're talking about. Yeah. No, I think, and I guess, and I don't want to belabor the point. I think I know where this is coming.
Hey, there's another exotic coming that'll probably be named that.
Something, right? Exactly. I would have named it today.
Yeah.
The only thing, I guess, and this is a big policy issue with a big price tag. I know that Data knows the price tagging. He sleeps with the number in his head. $4 billion a year. Just bring us up to an appropriate grade. It is an enormous $7 billion total of everything. The point is that it's an enormous thing. We are not going to volunteer our way out of this problem. This frankly is a core role of government. Of tackling this project. This is an attempt to say, okay, what can we do with a minor price tag relative to the big cost that we know is out there to maybe accelerate greater conversation, dialogue, incorporation of these concepts into even maybe private development as a result of the demonstration projects with public properties. I just think no one should be trying to convince themselves that volunteers can do these things, and they definitely can, and they have value. But we're not going to volunteer our problem out of a $7 billion infrastructure price tag. It's just not.
We don't have the money at the county to pay for it.
Hey, don't interrupt. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Colwell.
I would just like to say that rather than take it out of our fund balance and whatnot, it's directly related to the Water Resource Commissioner's role, and I would suggest working with the Water Resource Commissioner to find the money within his budget, or perhaps through grants or whatever, to fund this. Okay?
So
Yes.
just on that point,
In
that was actually my
response to Commissioner
principal, yeah, Debbie, that was the principal focus. I mean, the reality is that the Water Resource Commissioner budget is, and the budget people know this better, that the lion's share of the resources that come into that budget are for projects and everything, so there isn't a lot of wiggle room, other than like some top administrative support. There isn't this would kind of be putting some money there to do these types of
The
things.
rest comes from Chapter 20.
Thank you. Say yes. So that in water sewer system. So it's harder it's harder to identify those fundings. And so yes, but working, I identify with the foundation community and other sources to be part of this, I think does make a lot of sense to be able to get something like this off the ground.
Okay, any other questions? If not, call the roll on W2.
Crawford,
No.
Woodward,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Koa. No. Zach,
Yes.
Long. No. Tav,
No.
Fleming,
No.
Middleton,
No. W3, or should we call it 1C?
Can I say, Mr. Chair?
Okay. We have W3 before us. Is there a support? Zach is supporting it. Okay, Commissioner Taub, you have a question on it?
You know, it would really be helpful if we could have these earlier so we could go over this, but I guess we're getting them at the last minute. Thank you.
So, okay. You want to explain your resolution, Commissioner Woodward? Amendment?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So with all due respect to that comment, this was brought up in the context of the conversation of the budget, and when we asked about testing and all these other types of things early on, and said that they were coming on budget wrap up.
Yeah. So.
I could have. And I would say specifically to this one, we've had resolutions actually introduced on these individual things that haven't been able to get a hearing yet, which I hopefully soon. Hopefully the next. The point is yes. And Commissioner Taub, you and I have talked specifically about this. So this idea that this is all brand new in concept, I'm going to take some exception to that. So, but this is, we're going to adopt a budget in a month. I would say that we've got time in between now and then to address. The whole purpose of this is to, and a number of people have been looking and trying to, look in partnership, how do we better equip to collect data on the quality of our lakes and water. It is cost prohibitive to have county staff and resources to go in and test everything. Beach testing and other water testing is done. We know that we can't do everything. We don't have the capacity to do everything every single year. In this process, discovered that there's actually been a program, one of the longest running lake testing programs in the state, second longest, I think. That's been around, that actually works to train volunteers, those who live on the state, and how to gather this stuff and to create not only a baseline, but to be able to track water quality. And so this is looking to identify some resources to help pay for the training of that for volunteers in the community to take on this, and the supplies that are necessary to do the water testing and to be sent in partnership with Michigan Corps that works with the Department of Environmental Quality, to have this information, and through that process, over a period of time, to be able to gauge water quality and tracking things. Yes, there's a resolution that's been introduced, to kind of move along this way, which, people want to do that. I just think at this juncture, it was hey, let's leverage the power of 1.2 million people. We got a lot of people who care about this. I think we can do better. Oakland County actually doesn't participate that much in this program, and I don't know if that's because of a lack of resources, lack of education about it, promotion. Michigan Corps, I can speak, is very excited about maybe the opportunity. Again, additional conversation need to happen to figure out how this all works, but being able to collect that information and use that information to be able to track pattern over time is going to help identify, hey, is there a septic tank running out into this lake? Is it is it other algae? Other issue. I'm not the expert here. What I do know is that there's a lot of information that we can gather, it won't cost us very much, and be able to do so in a sustainable way if we involve the public in that process. And in that process, the public education about, hey, I know you want the pretty line, the lake that comes up to your water, but you know, by doing that, you're also allowing all the fertilizers and everything that rolls off your grass into the water that's actually polluting our lake and yielding other unfriendly things that happen in our lake. So it's a combination of all of that. I think it's a rather small thing to figure it out, and I think we should have Michigan Corps come in and talk about how it does look and the structure of all this, but at this juncture, wanting to secure the resource that would be necessary to be able to support and run it.
Okay, Commissioner Taub?
Yes, first of all, as far as leaching is concerned, the health department is up on that stuff. They know, and they get complaints, and they go out and check to see if there's septic leaching. There has been in some of the lakes, and they take care of that. That's number one. Number two, the fertilizer situation. I live on a body of water. That's most local communities that have lake property have an ordinance that says you can't use this. And the people who do fertilize, professionals or whatever, they know that, and they don't fertilize. They use non-toxic or whatever, non-water.
Non-phosphorus.
Yeah,
In
right.
fact, you can't even
Okay.
buy phosphorus.
The third thing is that we have a combination in this county of lake boards, lake associations, and subdivisions. And I think the people in this county are very smart. And they live on lakes, okay? And they know that if nothing else, their property values will be shot down to nothing if they have a lake that's not being treated, the weeds aren't being taken care of, perhaps some aerators are being put in. I think this is up to the local units of government and the local lake associations or the local lake boards. I do know that we have associations such as the Headwaters of the Rouge. In our case, there was a physician who took it over, and he took the water samples in, and for a few dollars, the water is tested all on their own. I don't think we have to do this. I think it's already being done. I think it's redundant. Those of us who live on lakes know that this is being done, and this is a redundant effort. So, although I do appreciate the fact that that you want to have some kind of a special project, if you take a look at the people actually living on bodies of water, lakes, streams, what have you, again, if for no other reason than their property values, they want clean water without weeds. They want to be able to use the water to swim in and to boat in and to fish in and so on. And who is going to ever go fishing in a lake that doesn't look too good? You're not going to. So, and the fish aren't going to live anyhow. So, I think it's a nice effort, but I think it's already being done.
Okay, I have Commissioner Zach, Colwell, and then Long. Commissioner Zach.
First of all, I want to compliment our health department. I think that they do an amazing job of inspecting lakes throughout our county. But they are using their resources fully, and what this does is it trains and expands the capacity to oversee clean water. This Michigan Corps would be training people that would be testing more frequently, really expanding the arms of our county health department. And I would hope that we would probably collaborate with them. I think that all of us, why this is important, we are all more sensitive to the issue of clean water than we were 3 years ago. And it extends not only into our drinking, but our swimming, so this is just one way to promote and ensure additional clean water sources. My district, I don't have lakes, but I know people that live on lakes, and they've come to me about how can you help, how can you expand. I think that there's a lot of people out there that would welcome more expertise to ensure that we have clean water throughout the county on the smaller lakes as well.
Okay. Commissioner Colwell.
I have 3 Lake Improvement Board meetings this week, and they're all hearings of practicability and assessments. So I fully understand the issue about lake quality. I was also thinking at the one I was at yesterday about, because years ago when I was on the board before, I did a lakeside landscaping seminar, and I think it was through
MSU Extension.
Extension, and there's a lot of education we can do that way. And as we go around White Lake, we don't live on the lake, but we keep a pontoon boat there. You see these beautiful lawns that come right up to the water, and you just kind of wonder. But I think that we should look at this and possibly take this up. But and I think Commissioner Long, if I can speak for you, is in agreement with that. Just to, I don't know where we're coming up with the number, but if we, maybe have this MICOR come in and talk to us. And I don't know if this is a one-time thing or it's ongoing. There's a lot of questions I would have before we would be able to consider this.
Okay. Next, I have Commissioner Long.
Okay, and first, just in response to Commissioner Taub, Commerce Township have ordinance, but a typical homeowner thinks that if a little bit of fertilizer works, a lot works better. This is our problem, because people come to us, as Rob's like registered with, to spray and for chemicals, and the homeowners are are the absolute worst, because they absolutely don't, they have no license to apply anything, and they always asking me, hey, can we buy this from you? And no, you can't buy fertilizer, you gotta follow the ordinance. And so that, I don't agree with it. Homeowners always, they just want their yard to look good and do what, they don't follow the ordinances. So, I think that, with the M-Corp, Commissioner Woodward has introduced a resolution, but if we can maybe get M-Corp to come, I know you handed out pamphlets in our mailbox, or someone did, but maybe we can have a presentation just on general government with M-Corp. And right now I won't be supporting, because I don't know where you got the 50,000 for and stuff, but I think all of us on general government, we can learn what M-Corp is. You can do it, yeah. Well, I think we could put a presentation or have them come in, so that would help.
Okay, Commissioner Woodward.
I think that's excellent. With your permission, I would withdraw this amendment so that we can work through the General Government Committee to explore this further.
Okay, Commissioner Zach, do you withdraw your support?
Oh, I will withdraw in support.
Okay, so item 3 is off. Next, you got another amendment?
Yes. Yep, I got David. All right. W4.
Yes.
Coming through. So W4, with workforce development, that was coming through.
You're making a motion?
Oh, yes, I'm making a motion for W4. It's being passed around.
Support. Bowman supporting it. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So, when economic development, during the budget process, we talked, about some workforce development. We talked about integrating apprenticeship programs, and we've seen a lot of conversation lately about how do we expand apprenticeship programs moving forward. I know that I've had
Dave, for people that are watching it on television, why don't you?
I'm sorry.
This is appropriate.
$500,000
in
economic development, community affairs department, workforce development division to be utilized in partnership with Oakland Intermediate School District for an Oakland County High School apprenticeship program. Now, what am I talking about here? There's been a lot of work trying to figure out how do we leverage the power of apprenticeships. I think everyone around this table sees the importance of apprenticeship programs. We keep talking about them, skilled trades that we don't have the people in them to take on these jobs, and so in some cases have to have labor imported to take on that work. I think I'm happy to say that I think a lot of people have been having conversations individually, and it's slowly coming in culmination that I actually do believe that there's an opportunity to leverage a partnership with Oakland Schools so that we can get juniors and seniors actually integrate curriculum with the apprenticeship program so that students can graduate not only with their high school degree but also graduate with some of the beginning certifications for some of the good paying jobs that the skilled trades can offer. Again, this fits, this is definitely still in a concept and detail, world, but demonstrating, a commitment like, hey, we'd be interested in figuring this out, I think is directly in line in which we could really work in partnership with school districts all across this, this county, with the ISD, There's infrastructure to help support this. I mean, I think there still is, frankly, a lot of stigma associated with the trades. This could be an opportunity to not only help erase that stigma, but create real pathways to good-paying jobs of some of our youngest workers that are going to enter the workforce. That college might not be the natural pathway, and so that's the intent here. Again, there's more work that has to be done, but this is about putting money aside to demonstrate that we are serious about exploring this further.
Okay, we had a co-op program in Oxford when I was farming, and so we had a student that in the afternoon came and we taught him how to weld and work on the farm and things, and he was getting high school credit for that part of the program. Do they still have a co-op program?
I don't want to speak for them. I think there are co-op programs that definitely exist, semi-co-op in the health field and other types of things. One of the challenges with the trades is that the curriculum for the apprenticeship doesn't necessarily line up with the curriculum for schools. And so, having had some conversations with those in the trades of trying to change their curriculum so they better line up and be able to accept younger students. And so, a basic thing like, we never accepted a 16-year-old into the program and everything, but if we're going to work with them over a more extended period of time, they'll be 18 when they graduate, make those types of considerations. So this is about getting a specific certification that makes them eligible for the types of work in heating and cooling and some of the entry-level skilled trades work. I think could be revolutionary in terms of pipeline to good-paying jobs. They pay $20, $25 an hour and more, right?
I could see the trade unions working with Oakland schools.
Absolutely.
That would be a really
natural
direct,
partnership.
natural tie-in.
That would definitely, and I know there's conversations that are happening there.
Okay. Commissioner Long, I'm sorry, I butted in.
Okay, so this is, Oakland Intermediate Schools is already, they already have these trade programs, at least Wall Lake Schools does, it's Oak Tech, and actually we're gonna have 2 students come through us for welding the whole winter. We signed up with Wall Lake Schools for their welding certificates and stuff. So I think that, and OCC is doing a lot of this now too. So I'm not sure to fund through here is necessary, that $500,000, but I do think that like Oakland schools could do more to make sure all the school districts have this. There's no electricians, there's no plumbers, no younger people are going to any of that. And I do agree with Commissioner Woodward, there's a stigma, because we told our son, you don't have to go to college. I never thought I would say that. You don't have to go to college. Trades are really good, and he's making really good money right now in heating and cooling, but he's going to college too. But, so I get it, but I just don't know if our funding's the best place here. I think the schools are doing it. I know Wall Lake is really, really doing it, and they're willing to work with us to get 2 interns or whatever, like an apprenticeship with our farm though. So if we can just get those programs out more, make sure every school district has those. I'm not sure every school district has that vocational center. Ours is called Oak Tech. Do they still? I know they cut a lot of them out, but I wondered.
There's 3. Yeah, there's 3 Oak
Only
Tech
3?
centers. There's 3 Oak Tech centers that.
And they come from all the different schools. They go
Yeah.
into the Oak Tech centers, correct?
Yes.
So is that it? The 3? So the one in Wall Lake
They bust them in from the local school districts during the day.
during the day,
Yeah.
and it's half a days. And a lot of our workers on our farm actually go there, and then that's why they apply. But we're doing a couple internships or for lack, I don't know what they're going to be called, but apprenticeship. But, so I don't know if the 500,000, I just think the schools are doing this right now, and I know that in our, when, he came in from OCC, they said they were really promoting and, the trades and stuff, so. At this time, I'm voting no, but I think that definitely there's a lack of, people going into the trades of the younger people, and we do have to promote it somehow, so.
Okay, I have Commissioner Top, Jerry, you want to make a comment?
If I could, I don't want to be inappropriate, but, if you would consider changing the designation of appropriate to designate an amount in the year-end close for this project, I will tell you we are looking at what we're going to be doing with workforce development, because you might recall the federal government has at least some proposals to severely slash, if not get rid of all of these workforce development funds. And so we think that we have to reconfigure what it is we're doing. And it would, we people working on skilled trade apprenticeship programs. For this kind of money, I think you realize it's pretty small. It's important to us, but it's a small amount of money. And so what we would rather see is a targeted program with a specific school with measurable outcomes. Because I will tell you, we also have some questions with how the stewardship of the open schools or the Pontiac works in terms of performance. And so my message is, if you changed it to a designate, which means it would come back to you for appropriation at some point, a very specific program of who's going to be targeted, who's going to benefit, how it's going to benefit. If you measure, I think executive would be certainly supportive of that.
I would like to amend it to be a designate at year in close.
Do you want to do it just as a friendly amendment between you and?
If that's acceptable
Oh,
to
you and Bowman. Bowman supported that.
Yes, I'd like to support the friendly.
Okay, so.
It'd be an assignment, designate for a year in close
Yeah,
assignment.
substitute the word appropriate
Assignment.
to a designate. Okay.
Yes, that.
That
That.
designate is now the terminology is assigned fund balance.
Got it. Assigned.
Okay, did you get that, Pam? Designated to assign.
What she said.
Yep, to assign fund balance, correct? Lynn?
We
It's
do
designate
have
to a,
assigned,
No, it's to
but it's
assign
limited
fund
in terms of
balance.
programming, so a lot of the students would have to bus to Clarkston or
Look
other
at your
facilities.
contingency packet.
Okay.
All of those various amounts are assignments of fund balance.
Okay.
They're not appropriations or designations.
Okay, so now W4 is amended to read designate to assign fund balance.
It's just a marker. It's not an appropriation.
Yep. Add that. Okay, Commissioner Taub now. Let's give Commissioner Taub our attention.
Okay, there's something called the Business Roundtable, and it has 5 committees on it, and one of them is Workforce Development and Education. And we are the people who sit on this committee are from OU, Oakland Community College, the ISD, OTEC, and they're working of course, there's some funding situations, but they're working very hard with the Carpenters Union to get some skilled trade people trained. Yeah, we do. And if you recall, just a few days ago on the radio, the governor said that we have 100,000 good-paying jobs that are going vacant. We don't have people to fill them. So, but workforce development and education, under the direction of Jennifer Llewellyn, formerly John Olmsted, this group, and I sit on that committee, we get it, okay, and we understand the stigma, and there are some, I agree with you, Jerry, there are some problems in certain areas where the funding could be used, but I don't want to take anything away from Jennifer and this group. We have been working probably for the past 5 years to get people into skilled trades. And the good thing about it is that we have a lot of people who own small businesses on this, and they're willing to take apprentices. And this is something that I think starts in high school, and it's equally as important as training the kids, letting them see that people work here, there, for a living. And so I don't want to take anything away from this organization. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, Commissioner Woodward.
Yeah, and I don't want to take, I think there's a lot of people, I've been very happy to see a lot of people like interested in this, working on this, committed to this. This might be a catalyst for helping more of that to happen. I'm interested in pushing the gas. And we have a pipeline problem. And so even you have desire, but we have a pipeline, and we have actually students. And when I asked, a very simple question like, well, we all know that, the story of Metro Detroit. You left high school, you got a good job at the auto industry, you made good money, life goes on, your kid went there, boom, 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 generations and everything, and that world doesn't exist anymore. But what we do have is actually good paying jobs that are available, and there's a way to build that, shape that pipeline, which, despite even a lot of people working on this, we haven't cracked that nut. And I think that there is an opportunity that we can experiment and plan and think about it. And I think, the suggestion of Jerry, it's not appropriating. We come back and we figure out what that plan looks like, and take in consideration other factors about what workforce development looks like in the future. And this is, I think, a really great opportunity to explore that.
Okay. If there's no other questions, the vote is going to be on W4. We're going to drop the word appropriate and put designated to fund balance.
Commissioner, be assigned.
Assigned.
Fund balance.
Assigned fund
To assign
balance.
fund balance with the 2017 year-end report.
Oh, mercy. More words.
Okay, so that's the way W4 is going to read now.
I don't think.
Okay.
We're not doing it.
Are we ready to vote on W4 with the friendly amendment? Okay. Go ahead and call the roll on
Okay.
W4.
Crawford,
No.
Woodward,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Cowell. Yes. Zach,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Tug,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes. Okay, motion passed. Now we're at, okay, that will be, C4 is the way it will show up on the amendment list.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so there is, so this is W5 coming through. Or this and one more. So
Oh, you got
I appreciate the support in the last one. So I'm gonna move and I know. Okay, so I do want to talk about it because I think it's important, but I am interested in how people are interested in pursuing this.
Okay.
Because I don't think there's actually opposition to the idea. So this is an amendment, I mean, as it's drafted, $500,000 prosecutor office.
Oh, Bowman support. Okay.
Oh, someone needs some support.
Yeah,
There's a
okay,
support.
go ahead.
All right. For the purposes of prosecuting internet fraud, cyberbullying, and other white-collar crimes. So when the prosecutor presented here and talked about the complexity of this, particularly white-collar crime activities and the forensic audit, on senior abuse, and a series of other things. It is costly. It is time-consuming, and there is a host of things that people are drawing. This is the fastest-growing. We know, type of crimes, that are happening, and it's only going to get worse, over time. I don't have all the answers on how to do this, but I do want to kind of create the space to figure out how do we make certain that our prosecutor office has all the tools that are necessary to go after, cyberbullying, white-collar crime, other internet fraud. I don't think there's anyone around this table that doesn't have a story of someone who's fallen victim to this. There was actually just a news report of a horrific situation of someone, from a cyberbullying, she's a small business owner, and just like the attacks, and it's heartbreaking, and how to best prepare the cases to prosecute to keep people safe. So the amendments before you, I'm curious how people would be interested in exploring and addressing this issue. I think there's a need, and so the amendments there just, hopefully start the conversation and what's a better, and if there are other ways to address it, I'm ears open.
Okay. And I just don't have enough information on it. And
well, we talked about it.
Yeah.
We know it's a problem, so we know that.
I'm just not comfortable with it right now. So, is there any questions on this amendment, W5? If not, call the roll.
Wow, that was
Woodward,
quick. Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Cowell. No. Zach,
Yes.
Long,
No.
Tug,
No.
Fleming,
No.
Crawford,
No.
Middleton,
No. Motion failed. You got another one?
I have, yes, the last one. Yeah, sorry.
Two more, and I would start to call you grandma. Okay. This will be W6.
I think.
And you need support, and then read it.
I need support.
Support.
Okay, Zach is supporting W6. Go ahead, present.
So, I would be remiss if I didn't address figuring out a way to expand Parks and Rec services across this county. And so, I want to first applaud Parks and Rec for putting an enormous amount of staff time, getting feedback from local communities about ways to improve Parks and Rec services, particularly in some of the highest densely populated areas of this county. I think did a really good job. I mean, and as a result, I can say heard the concerns that are coming up. This is I think our bi-party, tri-party programs, I mean, again, similar, you see a theme here that I think has been very useful in leveraging other partners to the table to achieve outcomes. I have talked about this for years with, I think, some people around this table, but also others, around, like, we come out of the Great Recession. We know that Parks and Rec aren't absolutely core essential services. We also know that they're often the first things cut, and a lot of communities have not recovered from those type of things. I think that there is an incredible opportunity in the developing a partnership with Parks and Rec, with local communities, and frankly this county to expand Parks and recreation opportunities throughout. This does not mean that we're going to be acquiring land everywhere. I mean, there isn't much land, frankly, to be acquired, but can we expand recreation and park and other types of things and services? I think absolutely. Do I think that we can work better in collaboration? Absolutely. Is it something that I think is necessary? And I guess from an investment point of view, a 2-to-1 return on that investment is a no-brainer for me. And it is something that I hear on a regular basis, and I am always going to be, chomping at the bit to figure out a way to help achieve it. And this is one way to do it.
Commissioner Taub has a question.
Yeah.
But I would like,
every time it comes up, I cringe at the fact that, and I understand it was a choice, that I have to support 2 district courts, my own and the other 4 that belong to the county.
Mm-hmm.
My community, 2 of my 3 communities, do not have parks by choice, and many other communities do not have parks. So my question is this: if there are communities that are struggling, with their parks, there are choices to be made. One of them is to do a parks millage, if that's what your community wants, to support your parks. A second one is to make a decision that some parks are not being used and maybe they're obsolete, okay? But I am not going to support this, not because I don't like parks, not because I don't go to parks, but because I think if your community, if a community chose to have 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 parks, then it's up to that community to support those parks. I don't think it's up to our board. We do support a Parks and Rec, and I think that's enough. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, next I have Zach and then Colwell.
Let me illustrate this. So I represent a lot of small cities. They have pocket parks or their recreation programs, and our state has taken away revenue sharing proportionately. My little city of Huntington Woods is, less than, is millions of dollars in 10 years that they've lost in revenue. So just cutting the grass, keeping the play structures safe, all these different issues, and we have had community contributions, our service club doing this. We can't sustain what we have. And we have so many other local millages for our roads, for additional things, and all of my South End communities have that. Pleasant Ridge, I don't represent them anymore, but they have a millage before the voters for their legacy costs of their small police department. So to add on additional millage dollars is not the right solution. They're trying to shed mills when they can and cut costs. Parks is not a mandate the same way public safety is. And this was one of the first things to go in the city budgets. And so, like any other infrastructure, it's been neglected. And this is just one way to try and incentivize, to be creative so that, City of Ferndale can add, go after grants and maybe find 20,000, and there's 20,000 from the county. It's one way to improve local recreation. And we've talked to our wonderful Parks Division, and they're doing more programming, but they don't have infrastructure costs. They don't have those things that make the quality of life greater in Oakland County.
Okay, next I have Commissioner Colwell.
Well, out where I live, we actually, forego a lot of our tax base. We get payment in lieu of taxes, which for a while we weren't getting anything for that. So, it's the other side of the coin there, and we were upset with the DNR because of the way that the constitutional amendment was set up, that the DNR parks couldn't spend money on maintaining what they already had until they reached a certain corpus, so they had to keep buying more and more and more. But now we're at that point where they can dedicate more to projects and so on and so forth. So, I just, once again, I think that through Oakland County Parks and Rec, through the state DNR, through the trust fund, that you look at getting funding for, see, I don't know if it applies for maintenance, but I don't know, I haven't looked at it that closely, but I think the funding is there, and I'm just getting more and more aware of mission creep here as we go through this meeting, so that concerns me.
Okay, any other comments? If not, Commissioner Bowman.
I'm just going to add an additional brief comment related to filling the gap, in relation to infrastructure improvement within the parks. Oftentimes, communities will have the opportunity to acquire grants or resources for playscape within their parks themselves, but there would be a gap on installation of the equipment. And I think this could be an opportunity for localized communities, specifically to improve their localized parks where residents have come together to do it on their own accord. But this is definitely an opportunity to fill some gaps for infrastructure improvement and for communities to take care and improve walkability and participation within the parks within their local residents. So I would definitely be in support and hopeful to galvanize the support of the board as well.
Commissioner Woodward.
Yeah, I guess in the closing comments on this, that play and recreation is essential. Is essential to our quality of life. We already know that our children are not playing enough. We know the sedentary lifestyle has all sorts of long-term chronic learning, behavioral consequences. Any extent that we can actually improve that from a quality of life, from a health status perspective, to making Oakland County even a better place to be. I think that there's a strategy that would yet to be developed to make a program like this successful, but something that people at all walks of life, from the very earliest to the oldest, we could develop such a strategy. I think it's in the best interest of everybody. One of my personal missions is to actually expand and increase the opportunities to play, particularly among our youth, to combat childhood obesity and a series of other things. And we've got to figure out, we have to be more innovative. I think it's absolutely right that people have choices. Sometimes we can incentivize a choice by making resources available. I think the Bi-Party Road Program is an example of that. That is like, we could spend this money doing something else, but here's an opportunity to leverage this money, and therefore now we're doing roads. And so I guess that's how I look at this. I want to say that, we have an incredible park system. And I know sometimes people think that I'm critical. I'm not. I swear by it. I champion. I use it. I believe in it. Can we do more? Yes, we can do more. Can we? Am I disappointed at times that we aren't doing as much as we should be? Yes, and I'm gonna fight for that. I'm a huge defender of the park system. I'm a huge defender of parks and recreation in general. And I think that this is an opportunity to figure out how to do more.
Okay. Any other questions on this amendment? If not, call the roll on Amendment W6.
Bowman,
Yes.
Koa,
No.
Zach,
Yes.
Long,
No.
Todd,
No.
Fleming,
No.
Crawford,
No.
Woodward,
Yes.
Middleton.
No. Motion failed. Okay, is there any other amendments to come before? Commissioner Crawford?
I don't have an amendment, but I have a comment on the previous 6 amendments.
Okay.
That had we adopted those amendments, we would have appropriated another $3,550,000, not an insignificant amount.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Woodward?
Let me do the math. 1 second. So less than 1/2 of 1% of our overall budget we were talking about. And what would it have done? It would have resulted in more roads being built that are safer and better for our city. It would have resulted in more water infrastructure to help aid the water infrastructure deficit issue that we're dealing with. It would have, well, we did actually put some designation there, so I'm gonna applaud that.
Oh, okay.
Improve park and recreation and quality of life across our county. I think for less than 1/2 of 1% of the overall budget, I mean, it's relative terms, so let's speak in full scope if we're gonna start throwing out dollar figures.
Okay, thank you. We have passed amendment A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3, and then we amended and made C4, and that passed. Now I need a motion, or we need to vote on the county recommended budget as amended with A, B, and C amendment areas. I think that includes everything, doesn't it, Lynn?
Don't we need another?
No, we're amending the budget. The first thing we did was accept the budget, and then the budget. We passed that one.
Right, but do we have to make a motion to vote on C again then, or we only did C 1, 2, 3?
No.
We accepted C 1, 2, 3. All right, we did, but that, with the,
Yep. Yep.
that became 4.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That became 4,
Okay, so now the vote is on the budget as amended. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I really do appreciate the consideration on the one amendment that was adopted. I mean, I think that there are these are not like pie in the sky crazy ideas. These are things that came up and I think actually have genuine policy merit and are in line with I think the priorities of most of the people across this county. That being said, like I am comfortable in moving this budget forward, but I also wanted to say a caveat that I'm not done fighting for those things. So, so that you might see them again, but and particularly as it relates to the infrastructure issues. But I will approve the budget moving forward at this juncture.
Okay, noted. So now a roll call vote on the budget as amended.
Koa,
Yes.
Zach,
Pass.
Long,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes, motion carried. Now, I'm going to call a public hearing for September 28th.
We need a motion for that.
At 9:30. Okay, a motion to have the public hearing at 9:30 to adopt the budget on the 28th of September. Tab is moving it, Colwell is supporting it. Roll call? Okay.
Are you doing 9:30 or 9:45?
We did 9:45 in the past.
Okay. 9:45 because the meeting starts at 9:30. Yep, okay.
You should call it 9:30. Call 9:45, you cannot do it before 9:45, so do it 9:30.
Yeah. Okay. That's why my notes said 9:45. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So the motion is to have the public hearing at 9:45 on September 28th. Call the roll.
Long,
Yes.
Todd, Todd,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Woodward, That public hearing. Public hearing?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Koa? Yes. Sapp?
Yes.
Middleton?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for these budget hearings and this wrap-up. If there anything else to come before the Finance Committee today? If not, I declare the meeting adjourned without objection.